Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 3-0 Take, where we talk all things Major League Baseball. Here's Kyle Corwin and Nate Reyes. It all starts right now.
Welcome back to the 3-0 Take, presented by SeatGeek. This is episode 398. I'll be your host, Kyle Corwin, and I'm here with my co-host, Nate Reyes. Nate,
what just happened? What's
don't
going
know,
on, man?
I got it.
Somebody wake me up.
Let me just get this out of the way because I know it's coming. I got to eat a lot of crow.
You do.
Okay, I got to eat a lot of crow.
You sure do.
Just the ones off the top of my head. The Sharpie bit comes to mind.
Yeah,
putting the Phillies in the World Series. To be fair, I said that more with the Braves series in mind because I knew that's where it was headed.
Sure.
I would venture to say 9 out of 10 Americans, 3 out of 4 dentists would not have recommended nor seen the Diamondbacks being the final hurdle that the Phillies would have needed to get past to get to the World Series. So I'm not giving myself a pass there. I'm just adding context to the situation. Still have to eat that though. While I personally still believe it, on paper, the whole Citizens Bank home field advantage did not play out the way I think a lot of people were anticipating it would. So I got to take the hit for that. If I think of others throughout the episode, I'll be sure to acknowledge them. But
I'm sure we'll get into numbers, but you've been a big Trey Turner guy, and just not a great series overall. Not a great series.
Just a
I'm not
weird
going to sit here and
postseason.
pretend like I'm not. I mean, I've been wrong more this postseason, I feel like, than any postseason ever. Everyone knows that, like, I'm the baseball guy at work, and they're all coming up to me and asking predictions and stuff, and I've been wrong. Just wrong. Said it on the pod the other day. I thought the Astros were going to immediately win it in Game 6. That didn't happen. I never gave the Diamondbacks a second thought. I never even imagined this outcome.
The wild card series, we were rolling our eyes going, the Diamondbacks, like that.
Yeah.
If they would have matched up against the Phillies in the wild card series, we're like, okay, that'd have been great. And then it ended up being the Marlins, but we're like, okay, well, let's just set the D-backs to the side because there's other more important teams we have to worry about right now. And to your point, I don't think either of us really, I don't think we were ragging on them, but we weren't giving them the credit they seemingly were due.
Let's just relax a little bit. I don't think everyone was. I think we were in the majority of people that overlooked what they were capable of. It's just wild. Like I don't know what this postseason is about. I don't understand. What's the lesson here? What are we needing to learn? This is why you have to. I mean, it's as cliche as it sounds. This is why you have to play the games. Like, you have to play.
Yeah, but and I know it's purely because the game ended mere minutes ago that I feel like I'm focusing, or I'm kind of honing in on this Phillies D-back series. We'll get to both, obviously, but I don't know, man. It's a weird place to be as a baseball fan because part of you, if you're a neutral party, like you're just kind of watching the postseason because you love playoff baseball. It's weird. Well, it's cool to see a team like the D-backs do what they do, and a team like last year, like the Phillies, do what they do. You just like these, whether or not you want to label them as Cinderella stories, whichever route you want to take, so be it. But you like these less than notable teams getting in, making it to the dance, and potentially making some noise. But on the flip side, you look at it and it's like 84 wins, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Yep.
I'm not going to say...
This is Manfred ball right here, baby.
Yeah, and that's what it keeps coming back to for me. It's like...
That guy is ecstatic right now.
Is there truth to the sentiment that the regular season doesn't really matter anymore with the expanded postseason? And I'm not coming at that from a particular angle. I'm purely presenting that as conversation because I think you could come at it from either way.
I would love to say the first round bye is. I would love to say it's a huge advantage in like football because you're not talking about necessarily like a rhythm that you need to hold on to, and if it wasn't for the fact that so many first round bye teams have struggled in the last few postseasons, I don't think I would accept what you're saying. But now we're seeing the wild card team from last year, the Phillies, making it to the World Series. Now we're seeing 2 wild card teams in the World Series.
75% of the LCS field was wild card teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just, oh my goodness, it's a weird postseason.
And I hate to get, the reason I'm fearful is because we're such an analytical sport. And I fear that there's going to be, I don't know if there's going to be some type of letting off the gas. If you have a 2-game lead in the division with a week left in the season. I don't know. Like, how big of an advantage is it to take 5 days off?
I mean, do you think teams remember this feeling or this taste that has been left in our mouths from this postseason? I
don't know.
Or will teams forget and be like, no, we need that first round bye?
It's a player thing. It's a player thing. And I think it's circumstantial for whatever the team situation is. If you have a key star that's nursing some type of injury, I don't know if there's a situation like that. But at the same time, like, us fans that don't have teams in the dogfight, like, I'm a little bummed. And it's nothing against the Diamondbacks. It's just like I know, yes, they won, but this team isn't better than the Braves. This team isn't better than the Phillies. It's just, I understand the postseason is about getting hot at the right time. I don't want to sit there and blame the structure of the postseason.
Right. And this is where I'm going to play devil's advocate to my devil's advocate, where you can sit there and say, yeah, 84 wins. But I've said it before, just like we talked about years ago with the Edgar Martinez Hall of Fame conversation. You can't fault the guy. You can't blame him for succeeding at an institution of the game, an element, a facet of the game that was created by the game.
I know, and we're in that smaller camp. We're in that smaller camp of the people that support the Dodgers, 2020 World Series, and it's legitimate. You can't blame the Dodgers for winning that because it was up for grabs for anybody. So I get it. I definitely understand. We can't blame the system. It's so tough to make this argument without sounding like I'm discrediting the Diamondbacks. And overall, like, when I watch this Diamondbacks team, this series kind of opened my eyes as the fact that, like, I think they're the most complete team. When you talk about all facets of the game, defensively, base running, hitting for average, pitching, both starting and bullpen, they do a lot of stuff well. They do a lot of stuff well. The back end of that bullpen is legit. And that's a trade acquisition, Paul Sewald punching your ticket for the World Series for you.
If you needed a clear example of pitching wins championships, I mean, the D-backs minimizing the bashing Phillies offense the way they did down the stretch.
So I think I don't remember what I heard on the broadcast. It was kind of like an off thing. I don't know if it was Darling or Francoeur. Three home runs from the Phillies at home.
Is that what it was?
I think he said something like that. I didn't confirm. I didn't look it up. I think it was also, 3 runs in the last 2 games at home. That's tough. That's not what you want. That's brutal.
Sorry, I was looking up a tweet I saw earlier tonight. I don't know if this was... Or yeah. Okay, yeah, because they didn't get up in the ninth. So it looks as though Harper, Turner, Schwarber, Castellanos finished 1 for 14 with 5 Ks.
Yeah. I've never, ever thought of this before. I've never gave it a legitimate thought before. But I heard this idea. I don't know if we've even talked about it on the podcast before. You and I are old school baseball guys. We're always late to the party when it comes to rule changes, things like that.
Give ourselves some credit.
We've been better lately.
We've been better lately.
Someone said this idea. And when I first heard it, I was like, it's not baseball. It's ridiculous. But I actually thought about it again this game. The idea was based on what you're seeing in other sports. When it's, 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter, you have your star quarterback trying to find the star receiver. 15 seconds left in the fourth quarter, you have your star guy on the court trying to get the ball, people setting screens to get him the ball. The idea that this someone gave me was at one point, you get one time at any point in a game to hit reset on your lineup and run it back to the top. At any point in the game. And it's wild because it's you hate to see a team like the Phillies, and he's our guy, he's been on the pod before, but you hate to see their season end with Jake Cave. And it felt like the game ended in the 7th tonight. On Harper's fly out, it felt like it was over for me.
Yeah. We pretty much are already talking about this series. Let's just get into game specific stuff here, and then we'll switch gears and talk Rangers Astros. You mentioned the 7th. For me, in watching each one of these games and getting to know, I'll be honest, the D-backs and the way they play and and who's been wheeling and dealing as of late, getting to be able to watch them for this series. I had a pretty good understanding of the situation in the 7th. And for me, that was the opportunity that you had to capitalize. And it may sound obvious to some, but if you go back and look, you had just top of the 7th, Wheeler comes in. Mm-hmm. Wheeler gets that lunging K to end the top of the inning.
Yeah.
And he's all business coming off the mound. the crowd's getting back into it a little bit. You're going,
Right.
okay, we got our guy in his first career relief appearance. Seems to be settling in just fine. Now we go.
Don't
The
give me.
seventh-
Was someone on base when he came in?
I honestly can't remember.
I think he came in the middle of the inning.
Yeah, I think he came in the middle of the inning, but I don't remember if it was inherited or not. But I believe he did strand somebody. I want to say it
I
first.
thought he inherited a runner, and to
It's
me,
possible.
like that's even more impressive. A
Yeah.
starter coming out on a relief appearance with somebody on, you're immediately
Yeah.
in the stretch. Sorry, keep going, but just wanted to pat him on the back.
No. So you get him. I don't even remember who he struck out, but it made him look silly, whoever it was. Why do I feel like it was Fam? It may have not been Fam. Anyway, not important. You get him walking off the mound. You're going, okay, feeling good. Bottom of the seventh, you've got Saul Frank, who I saw tonight walked more than half of the batters he faced this postseason series or the NLCS. Or no, was it? It may have been the whole. I think it was the whole.
All of
Maybe
postseason.
the whole postseason. Either way, walked more than half the batters he faced. You have it, to their credit, they got on and they capitalized, but you needed to do it before they gave the ball to Ginkel, who's been very good.
Yeah.
And you saw why. I think he ended up striking out the side in the 8th.
Yeah.
So
that
he was clearly
absurd.
dialed in tonight.
Yeah.
Like that was the opportunity. And you got I think Brandon Marsh led off the bottom of the 7th, who has had he's not putting dents in the wall by any stretch, but he's been a little bit of a spark with ABs from time to time in this series. To me, everything just kind of aligned. I'm like, okay, if they can get a pesky Brandon Marsh to poke one into the gap.
The Pache walk was huge for me. I know they were talking about like pitch selection of probably not needing to throw that curveball from Saul Frank. But that Pache walk to me was like, it's starting to come together, starting to make moves.
And they had nothing to show for it.
A couple check swings could have gone the other way, but forces a walk. Yeah. Ginkel, though, dang. I didn't know. Personally, I didn't know.
Ginkel and Seawald have been like possibly the best pen duo of the postseason.
Haven't let up a run all postseason, I think Darling said. I didn't know. I wasn't aware.
It's like the Shaq meme. Like I wasn't familiar with your game. Like
yeah, dude.
Who would have thought coming into the
Mad
postseason that
respect.
Ginkel and Seawald? I mean,
Yeah.
Seawald I could understand.
The names are the most ridiculous. Saul Frank, Fott, Ginkel, and these boys are coming in, dude. These guys are coming here. Saul Frank needs to figure it out, but still a weird name.
Can we take this minute to pause? And, I ate crow right off the top of this episode, but can we go back to March when you said, oh, this random Diamondbacks love coming up out of nowhere. Maybe I saw something. Maybe I was sniffing around a little something back in March.
You got some chase. You got some chase rubbing off on you. Some D-back dog. Get your
I didn't have a D-back dog, but
I have had a D-back dog before. I know I didn't get one on that trip, but I have had one before.
I know. You said it's just a normal hot dog.
The saltiest hot dog I've ever had.
Stock standard.
They dumped it in the hot dog water and then immediately put it on the bun.
You mentioned Fott.
What a stud, dude.
What a dude.
What a stud. The kid is no joke. What was that game? Did he throw game 3? 3 and 7? No. 2?
I think it was 3.
When did he throw? I was watching it at Chili's on my lunch break. So I remember that part.
All right. Well, if Gallon was 5, then maybe
Work our way back here.
would that have been 4?
What day is it?
The D-backs would have won game 4.
No. What are we doing? It's all just blending together.
I'll pull it up. No, game 4 was the bullpen game. So it was game 3.
It's game
Yeah,
three.
they won. D-backs won 2-1.
And fought through that one.
Yeah, 5 2/3, 2 hits, 0 earned runs.
Stud. Tempo on the mound. It doesn't seem like he's a young buck, dude. Like you watch
Composure,
him grow.
man.
Yeah. Just really, really special. I just didn't know. I didn't know. Been calling him PFAT my whole life. I can't
We
tell
can
you.
still continue to call him PFAT. That's kind of
PFAT's kind of dope. I mean, I can't tell you the number of times I chose them as like the weekend series to watch throughout the regular season, and I remember writing on my whiteboard PFAT multiple times. I'm proud of him. Like a mother hen. I'm proud of him. Guy is a freaking stud, man.
Oh yeah.
Great job.
Good.
Also, Ketel Marte. How
how
we talk
about it?
about how we were super early on Ketel Marte? Do you remember when we did position rankings
Yes.
before the year?
Yes.
And we came out with position rankings. Everyone hated on them, so we stopped doing them.
Yeah. That was probably before our like latest layer of thick skin. I think at this point we're pretty callous just about anything that
I'm
comes
not
out.
losing
Like,
sleep over any of your opinions. So I remember us ranking, and I think it was right after he had won. He got like an all-star appearance or something like that, and I was like, "Yeah, he's the top 3 second baseman in the league."
And I remember not believing you, and then we did a deep dive into the numbers, and I'm like,
I think he kind of pooped the bed a little bit last year.
Yeah.
But like this year, man, just the postseason. I think he has a knock in every game, doesn't he? I don't know. Is that streak still going? Maybe it stopped.
No, he got a hit tonight, didn't he? He poked that one to right.
Yeah.
Or was that a sac fly?
No, it was a double. He had a double.
Yeah. So his postseason hitting streak is at 16.
Yeah. Whoa. Goodness gracious. Just dudes. Just a bunch of dudes. All
Just
over
a
the
bunch
place.
of guys being dudes.
I will say that there's a lot of Christian Walker hate here. A lot of Christian Walker hate from D-backs fans around
I
town.
mean, he didn't really didn't really do much. So I mean,
there's a whole lot of like, can't wait till we get Goldie back chatter going on.
Well, I
around
mean,
here.
if it was up to Christian Walker or Paul Goldschmidt, I'd probably take Paul Goldschmidt. But that's just
for
me.
sure. But I mean, Christian Walker, he did okay. He's gonna get a Gold Glove this year.
You got to understand these D-backs fans. Some fresh, some still with the tags on their shirts from the store.
Yeah.
Some not so much, but collectively, they're in the heat of this. Well, what was 7-game series, no longer.
Yeah.
They're in the heat of it, man. If somebody's not performing, I mean, you've been there. I've been there. You're not happy about it, and you're ready to jump ship irrationally, but you're ready to jump ship. And I think that's what they're ready to do with Walker.
He also forgot to count. Oh, speak of the devil. Ketel Marte wins, CS MVP.
How about that?
16-game hitting streak, just like we said.
Talk about another guy that maybe wasn't performing as well as he maybe could have. Tommy Pham benched in game 5 and then comes out game 6, hits a bomb.
Does this guy just need to be like does he just need haters? I think he just needs haters. He's like, he needs that. If no one's hating on him, if you start to like him, he's not as effective. He needs haters. Someone possibly, it's just, I haven't confirmed, but I'm gonna go ahead and assume someone in the dugout did something they shouldn't have done in fantasy football. Probably turned him up a little bit. Hits a nuke game 6.
I mean, I think the simple fact of him being benched probably did it.
I'm going with the fantasy football thing.
I mean, true. What are we in week? Are we in week 7 now?
I'm not hopping camps, by the way. I can't stand Tommy Pham. I'm staying in on that side of things. Can't stand him.
Speaking of game 6, any thoughts on the Harper showing up in all black? We don't have to spend much time on it. I just didn't know if you had any particular thought on it.
I'm going to give you credit. I'm going to give other social media accounts credit as well, because this is the kind of stuff we've talked about. We're like helping grow the game. And I know it's like we're talking about a dude's outfit, but this is the crap that we talk about with every other sport, and no one seems to mention it with baseball. So I'm glad that it got some light. I'm glad that we're talking about this stuff, because it's like, it's cool, it's fun, it's different, then it's a little bit outside the lines. So like, anyone throwing a fit be like, oh, why are we talking about what he's showing up in? No, all black's drippy. It's never not drippy.
No, but I'm saying,
quote Johnny Cash. I think that's talking exactly about what he said.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
Do you think I'm not asking just randomly like, oh, did you like his fit? I'm asking like more so for any potential message being sent by it.
No.
Did you read into that at all? Okay.
I did not. I will not.
By the way, I appreciate you giving me credit on that. The comments, however, both surprisingly on Instagram and Facebook, did not have that same sentiment.
Why are we talking about this?
A lot of glazing comments, a lot of side note. I guess the thing to do now is just post a GIF of the Krispy Kreme donuts being glazed, and no other comment, just the GIF of the donut being glazed as a way of saying glazing. Which, I mean, if that's what we're doing these days, I'm here for it, I guess.
Whatever, dude.
But it's not glazing, man. It's a star in the game.
Yep.
And let's just say he's been rather intentional leading up to that point with some of his outfit selections, a la Coach Prime merch, so on and so forth. That's all I'm going to say. Anyway, we don't need to talk about that. Let's talk more about the rest of the series. Tonight, game 7. A lot of the narrative, a lot of the discussion coming into game 7, which I cannot believe this series made it to game 7. Honestly, I'm a little disappointed in the Phillies for allowing it to get to game 7. Like, if you're, I get it. This is October baseball. Anything happens. I say that seemingly every episode now. But like, come on, man. Mm-hmm. You're the Phillies. This is the D-backs. You needed to put this to bed a long time ago. It didn't happen.
They coughed up a game in Phoenix, right?
I coughed up 2. No. Yeah, 2 in Phoenix.
Both were comeback wins? One was a comeback win. One was a...
They dropped 2 or 3 in...
I know that,
Phoenix.
But what was the... Were both of those comeback wins?
No, game 5 was the game that you had your prediction of little bop, mm-hmm. Wheeler coming out strong. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That was 6-1. Game 6, D-backs in at the bank taking the Phillies down 5-1. No, but what I was saying is the narrative coming into game 7 was that Rob Thompson, despite the D-backs sending the clear message that they're not going to be beat by guys like Schwarber, Harper, that he was unwilling to change his lineup coming into Game 7. You still had Bohm hitting fourth, which, to his credit, comes out, hits a bomb, kind of quiets that narrative down, at least from his point of view. But they scored 2 runs.
Yeah.
So how much of this is on Topper?
Nope, I can't do that. I am personally a Rob Thompson fan.
As am I.
He's done an excellent job since taking over. They just need to be better with runners in scoring position. Just haven't been good. I think, what did that stat that they flashed that was like?
I saw it. That
outside
was
of game
horrendous.
2, like outside of game 2, which was the schmeckin', right?
Yeah.
That they put on it. Everything else was like really bad with runners in scoring position. Like bad.
That down.
So I can't put that on old Robbie. Philly Rob, he's old school. I like the way he manages. I think the team buys in with the way he manages. I don't see the reason to change things. You need your guys to show up. Nicky Castellanos, Mr. Blastianos just didn't have a good series. We already dropped the number with Schwarber, Turner, and Bryce. Just a little disappointing. That's how baseball goes sometimes, but I don't think we can sit here and play Monday morning quarterback and say, oh, a lineup change would have gotten you a dub. I don't agree.
Yeah. Here's an interesting. I was looking for the runners in scoring position number, but I see a tweet here from
Nugget
Jeff Skrveski.
Sure.
Phillies hitters in games 6 and 7 at home in the NLCS needing only 1 win to make the World Series. 21 Ks, 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position, 14 left on base. Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos combined 0 for 23.
Yeah.
And that's just game 6 and 7.
Yeah. Obviously, we are hopping on. I mean, everyone's listening to this presumably tomorrow morning, but we are hopping on right after the game, so not really getting any like post-game interviews to talk about. But I'm assuming Bryce Harper and guys like that are going to be owning that, dude. Like that for the same reason, the same quote that he dropped before saying that's why you pay Trey Turner. This is why you get paid. And, you didn't do what you needed to do. They're definitely going to take ownership. Yeah, it's just, you got to be better. You got to be better. What I will say, I think if the Phillies would have won, I wanted to give a lot of credit to Ranger Suarez. Ranger Suarez was Dyson all postseason, did not have a good year. I had him in fantasy. I hated him for a minute. Was on the IL for a bunch, mystery injuries from there, just didn't look good. I think he had like an ERA over 4 throughout the regular season. Comes in the postseason and just flips a switch and looked really, really good. So if the Phillies would have won, I would have given him more love, but I did want to say my piece on
that. Somebody I do want to give, on the flip side, give a little credit to, we've already mentioned his name, but Corbin Carroll. Clearly he was just saving up everything for game 7, it seemed. This was the Corbin Carroll game, apparently. And honestly, looking at game 7 as a whole, it became very, very clear early on that the D-backs were getting back to their brand of baseball.
Yeah.
Putting ball into play.
Moving guys.
Being aggressive on the base pass. Embracing the chaos, as they say. Small ball. Getting bunts down, which that was refreshing to see. I think both sides of the ball were trying to lay bunts down at various points throughout the game, which was nice to see. You love teams playing for that one run because A single run can win you the game.
I know, and I don't know. Would they have 4 swipes tonight? 5?
That sounds about right. Yeah, 4 or 5.
And I like that they're not like, I mean, they're just not reckless. They know when to steal. They steal at the right time. Talking about JT Realmuto, dude, like a premier catcher like that.
Yep.
To be able to get that, and I think that's maybe what we saw in the beginning of the series. They maybe were a little reluctant and they didn't want to give away outs. And you could hear it on the broadcast. They were like, why is Corbin Carroll still at first base? Why is he still there?
Yeah.
And you could just tell, like, the beginning of the series, it wasn't really them. And then seems like they got back to being them. What got them there? And it ain't about just chilling and being cautious. This is a team that pushes the envelope. And like I said, man, just like really disciplined baseball. They're not going to beat themselves. The Phillies beat themselves this series.
Not to discredit the D-backs, though.
No, not in any way. They're a good
I haven't verbalized my congratulations for them, but I mean, a well-deserved World Series berth. I mean, I would venture to say not even D-backs fans saw it coming.
Yeah, for sure. No,
but
not at all.
I mean, they did what they had to do, and they take down a Dodgers team. They take down the like a couple teams that probably the majority of other baseball fans would have pegged as possible National League representatives in the World Series. Making I don't want to say quick work. Well, the Dodgers maybe, but the Phillies, I don't think, even with their struggles, I don't think you were going to make quick work of them. But they countered that by beating them at the bank, which I think is honestly more impressive.
Last question. I don't know if we're moving on to the other one, but my last question is, were you wearing the Bryce jersey and did you need to take it off before recording?
I was not wearing it. No.
Okay.
I was not wearing it. And in fact, because this is like a late night recording and I usually try, when we do these, I usually try to minimize the work or try to get ahead on any like work I can knock out ahead of time. So that way I can just edit it and get to bed.
Sure.
Because it's a lot later out here on the East Coast.
Yeah.
I've made the mistake before of getting ahead of myself and like creating graphics for the episode or what have you, or episode titles. I was like, I don't want to have any influence because I believe in that. The vibes. I don't want to be sending out the vibes out to the bank one way or another.
I get that. I definitely
getting ahead of myself. So I was trying to be very vague, trying to do, as much work as I could, but without getting ahead of myself. So yeah, I mean, wasn't wearing the jersey.
Yeah.
It just, I hate to say it, I didn't feel great as a pseudo Phillies fan coming into Game 7. It didn't. Yeah. You needed to do it in games. I mean, you needed to do it before Game 6, but if you were gonna have to bring it back to the bank, you had to do it in 6. The pressure. I mean, we've talked about this before. Whenever you get a team that pushes it to a Game 7, the pressure then falls
on
to
them.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened. And I think they felt that.
Saw it in both series.
Yep. Crazy. I think I heard this was the first time ever that, was it on the broadcast? They said the first time ever that the road team had won 6 and 7
on both sides. Yeah.
On both sides, which I can believe that. Like, I don't need to think too hard on that. That's quite the feat.
Yeah.
Quite the feat. We can switch gears here. Any other thoughts on the Phillies D-back series? Any takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think Phillies could just probably use a little bit more of athleticism in that lineup. I'd like to see a little bit more. So I don't know how you make that happen. I think you need to make it happen. Maybe trade for a Mike Trout. Whatever. No big deal. Moving on. That'd be sick.
I don't know. People are gonna roll their eyes, but naturally, my takeaway is probably gonna revolve around Harper. But I was just sitting there watching. They panned to him in the ninth. I think there was like 1 or 2 outs in the ninth, and they panned to him. And he just got this look on his face, and immediately my mind went to this guy's running out of chances.
Yep.
And I've said it before. This is not basketball. It's not solely on him to win a ring. He can't win a ring by himself. Nobody can win a ring by themselves. Look at Mike Trout. Can't win a ring by himself. Shohei can't win a ring by himself. But I don't need to rehash the narrative. We all know the story around Bryce Harper and why he gets so much hate and why he still somehow can't meet the expectations of some baseball fans out there. It's because he's missing the ring. You have to think about it. He's 31, if I recall. And you think, well, he's
31, I think.
Yeah, and you can say like, well, like he's still got a number of years left. You have to just assume that it's going to be his chances are going to be a fraction of what he has left, because sure, he may have 9 years left in his career if he plays till he's 40. But they're not going to the World Series for the next 9 years.
No. And you got to assume that there's going to be a closing of a window. And you know this firsthand. The Dombrowski era can be great, and then it can really suck as it's coming to an end when that bank account is finally dry. And it's probably creeping into that territory pretty soon. So you're right. I think the move to first base could prolong his productivity. But overall, just like with Phillies, you got to find a way to just get a little bit more athletic. I don't know why that comes to mind. I don't know. It seems like you need to have better defense, specifically in the outfield. The bullpen needs help too.
They got some dudes there though. They can build off of that. Maybe just some adjustments here or there. But 28 other teams are already thinking about the adjustments they're going to be making for next year. But yeah, shout out to the D-backs, man. That's a heck of a series. Regardless how you may feel about the outcome, you gotta love a series that goes 7. And speaking of a series that went 7, Texas Astros. Let's talk about it.
I mean, I don't need to say too much, but it's Mr. Garcia to you.
Yeah.
Yo.
Yeah.
The mayor of Texas.
I mean,
my goodness.
That
can't be a mayor of Texas. Governor of Texas?
I posted it.
Sure.
The president of Texas.
Governor. They're
essentially their own country at this point.
It's fair.
Adolis Garcia, president of Texas. You heard it here first. That meme I posted of Castellanos, which now it's kind of funny because obviously they're no longer playing. Yeah. But yeah, the ring flicking him, the ring finger. Yeah, it's tough, man. The ring finger flicking him off. I posted and said that's Adolis Garcia to every last person associated with the Houston Astros organization. And I posted that in like the third, because he had 2 home runs.
Yeah.
In Game 7, and I posted that in like the third, and then he goes on to hits another home run towards the end of the game. I think he sprinkled in like a
2-run single, I think,
single or double or something.
Yeah.
Or no, was that the single that he then stole second on? Was that the same AB?
No, that was the single that he big time pimped off the wall.
Right.
And then stole. He had another like squeaker through the 5-5 hole that scored 2.
So we had 4 hits in Game 7.
He had 1 million RBIs.
Just in Game 7.
Just 1 million in just that game.
He homered in 4 straight games. In game 7, as I mentioned, homered twice, drove in 5 runs. Only 3 players have longer streaks than his home run streak of 4 straight games in the postseason. Daniel Murphy in 2015, he had 6. Giancarlo Stanton, 5 in 2020. And Carlos Beltran also had 5 in 2004.
Whoa.
As you mentioned, 1 million RBIs, the most RBIs in a single postseason series, set a record with 15. 15.
What a monster, dude. I love that he gets the last laugh. That fat Maldonado comes on in a postseason. He says, well, the biggest thing you got to worry about is that you just woke up the Houston Astros. No, son. Negative. Adolis runs this.
Hey, every now and then I come across a rather intelligent comment on social media on one of these posts, and I went to that post after Game 7, after Adolis, as you mentioned, very factually, of course, recorded 1 million RBIs.
Mm-hmm.
And I went back and looked, and somebody in response to Maldonado's quote said, you know, that works both ways.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, it sure does. It sure does. And I think Adolis Garcia made that very clear.
What a freaking monster, dude. What a beast. What a beast.
And you can't even hate on the guy for that one that he just completely big leagued.
No, not at all. I'm okay with every part of it.
You could have been mad for about 7 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he gets to the base that he should have. He had a chance to get to anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. That was dope. Where people are all like complaining about it as he's swiping.
Oh, I mean, I'll admit, I was like, dude, come on. Like, you've been going off this series, but like, you didn't get all of it. Just give me a little bit of more effort out of the box. And then as I'm thinking this,
swipe.
Shoop, there he goes.
That's so sick. That's like, it's just so sick. I gotta say, I think everyone knows he was good. Every baseball fan understands that he was good. This to me is like I'm a household name now, and I have to be considered a top 5, maybe a top 3 center fielder.
Let's qualify this point by saying people knew he was good as of late, because I don't know how much you've seen being resurfaced about his earlier playing days with being DFA'd and this and that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to come to the defense of the Cardinals here a little bit. The Cardinals have been catching a lot of strays.
Boy. The Cardinals. Oh.
Well, go ahead.
No.
Go ahead.
How many chances are you going to give them? How many times are you going to screw up? How many names have they screwed up?
Give me a second, please.
Too many.
Cardinals are catching a lot of strays for DFAing Adolis Garcia. Not Aroldis Chapman. Adolis Garcia. And people seem to forget that the Rangers DFA'd Adolis Garcia. Nobody wants to talk about that, but I guess it just doesn't fit the narrative.
It doesn't.
The Rangers literally DFA'd the guy. Not talked about it, not like, oh, is there a guy we can maybe flip him for just to get like a quick return, quick, easy return. No, they literally DFA'd the guy. And 29 other teams passed. And they're like, okay, we tried to get rid of him. Nobody wants to talk about that. It's just the Cardinals. Like, okay. Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine.
Kind of like former Pirate great The Cardinals and the Pirates are in their own category.
No, I'm not gonna. No, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna hit on it. Anyway, yeah, Adolis Garcia going off. I mean, looking specifically at Game 7. Well, if you want to look at Game 6 and 7, the Astros gave up 20 runs.
Yeah. Yep.
20. Granted, Adolis Garcia had about probably 19 of those.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 20. Maybe even 25.
They had a million of the 20.
Maybe they didn't count all of them.
They did.
But you can't do that. But it validates the narrative that they were cheeks at home.
What is that about?
This postseason?
I don't understand that. It's so weird. I'm a big fan of watching Mattress Mac lose his money, though. That's nice.
Yeah, dude. Mattress.
that's enjoyable. Let me tell you.
I'm starting to learn a little bit more with each year because, I mean, they're one of the Final Four teams every year now, it seems, as we've talked about. Every year that passes, I'm getting a little bit more insight onto this Mattress Mac guy. Doesn't seem like the greatest human being.
I don't think so.
Just looking at it from an outsider's perspective, the limited knowledge I have doesn't seem like the kindest soul, if I'm being honest.
I think he's 145 years old.
I mean, he's got the juice though, man. I saw the.
I'm
clip
not buying the
resurfacing.
mattresses either. I'm not buying that. That's a scam.
I saw the clip resurfacing from last year when it was the 2019 World Series, I think, when they dropped it to the Nats, and he was going at it with some guy, like on the concourse after they dropped that last game. Which, I mean, I get you're losing a lot of money each time you do that, but just I don't know, man. Doesn't really seem to take his lumps very well.
I will say I think MLB we need bigger bettors. We not bigger bettors. We need more big bettors. It's enjoyable when like you have Chad Ochocinco dropping $3 million on a UFC fight and he's got like a stack of cash. I enjoy that part. Like that's fun to see. Just degenerates losing their money that way. It's nice. But I lost a bet today, but I lost $5. So like suck that, Mattress Mac, you sucker. Mattress Mac, you old SOB. He's just there's no way he's selling that many mattresses and he's worth that much money. There's something else going on. Not saying we need to open an investigation, but it's worth a conversation.
Speaking of there being no way, there was no way that Dusty Baker thought that the series ended after 7 games because the way he handled JP France in Game 7, you would have thought he was playing for a best of 9, trying to save what bullets he had left in the pen. What was that?
I don't know.
Dusty Baker, come on. I know the stat going into Game 7 with Dusty having never won a Game 7 and Bruce Bochy
never lost.
Never lost a Game 7. I get that. I'm not buying that though. Like you had a little bit more control of your destiny here, I think, if you maybe managed the pen a little bit. He let France wear it. What are you doing? That was
I don't know.
That was ugly.
Kind of think homie was just ready to call it, you know.
Well, he did. Shortly thereafter, I didn't see. Did he announce it in the presser? Like
I didn't see anything. It's just like
I got the announcement.
Rumors around the organization, and then social media just kind of ran with it.
I thought it said that he said
anything official. I don't remember hearing or seeing anything of him saying it.
No, I think the report that I saw
blown up. I don't love it.
Yeah, Fox Sports tweeted out last night. Dusty Baker has told people that 2023 is his last season as manager.
Sad. I don't like that. I like old Dusty. How about freaking out a couple games ago, yelling and screaming, throwing his hat and stuff? I didn't know he still had that in the tank.
He's got he'll always have that fire, man.
I wasn't aware.
He'll always have that. But yeah, like I said, Houston pitching just getting obliterated in 6 and 7. Bruce Bochy, on the other hand, becomes the first manager to win a LCS with 3 different teams.
I said it last episode. He's like, I think he just needs more respect. That guy is a phenomenal manager. Going back to like Tony Gwynn days with the Pods. Way back when.
Yeah, it was the Giants, obviously, the aforementioned Padres, and now the Rangers. Well, Padres, Giants, then Rangers. But this guy manages with a composure, I think is the right word.
It's weird. He just doesn't seem like he's worried at all.
I don't know to what extent. Rangers fans would probably know better than I would. I'm sure they would. I would hope they would know his level of engagement with analytics, advanced analytics. But he seems to manage with his gut in a non-reckless manner.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows he can read a guy, and you've got a handful of older vets on that team that I think respond well to that. But he can read his guys well, but also recognize that, like, I can't just go off of this, because he knows that you're not going to be able to have sustained success if that's the only approach you take. You got to have a little bit of evidence to support your approach as a manager, but I think he has a healthy balance, and I think you're seeing it play out extremely well right now.
Can we talk about, it can't be a coincidence that Chris Young, former player, as the GM. A former player is the only one that's going to understand that a manager can do that. Certain managers can trust their gut and trust that decision making. I love the fact that the Rangers are succeeding because we're seeing a former player in that role. And you're seeing a guy doing it really well and turning a team around this fast. They just lose 100 games a couple years ago.
2 years ago, I believe, yeah.
Dude. Like that to me, it's an organizational mindset that we can trust certain things, but analytics aren't going to have the entire steering wheel. It's having a player in that position, having a true long-time stud manager calling the shots, and you guys are on the same page. I love it. I refuse to think that's a coincidence. And am I crazy for seeing that? Was that Michael Young up in the box with Chris Young? Does Michael Young have a...
I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I don't know.
Does he have a position up there? He was one of my favorites as a kid, dude. I loved him. He was fun to watch. Just a freaking ball player.
Says he works as a special assistant.
He was up there. Saw him up there.
That was as of March, so I would imagine he's still with
that. All I'm saying is that I'm a big fan of this situation, of what the Rangers have put together. Savvy veterans, coaching staff that's just some of the best out there, overcoming crazy injuries and losing big names. It's really impressive and I love the fact that it like finished with them beating the big brother. It needed to happen. For them to get here, it needed to go through Houston. The fact they did it specifically in Houston, back-to-back games. Whoa.
Convincingly.
Yeah.
Speaking of those games, going back to it, shout out to one big game Nate. Shows up again.
Yeah.
6 1/3, 5 hits, 2 runs, which is about as good as you can ask for in a game 6 because even with the way that the Astros played home, you're not getting out of there unscathed. So to be able to limit them to 2 runs, especially with the way some of the guys had started to pick it up as of late. We talked about Jose Abreu. Jordan had already, like, he's going to do what he's going to do. But you had some guys starting to heat up a little bit to be able to go in there and shut the door in game 6, push it to game 7. Credit to him. Framber Valdez, I don't know what happened with him this postseason. 0-3 with a 9 ERA.
Oof.
And then my other shout out was to Max Scherzer. I mean, very quick hook. And it certainly wasn't his greatest performance, but again, limiting them to 2 runs before handing the ball off to the next guy, which by the way was Montgomery. He only went 2 2/3, but when I saw that they announced it the day before, after game 6, I said, Scherzer's going 7. I said, congrats, Astros. And a lot of other people said the same thing, and for good reason. Like, there was no reason at all to think that Max Scherzer was going to show up in game 7.
Yeah.
Again,
That's
like
sad.
I said, he didn't give you much length, but
sad.
he could. Yeah, and it trust
I think
me,
if
it feels
you were to
weird.
see, what's it called where like the transcription from like court, the person's just like sitting there typing everything. You like want to read the transcription of everything. I think if we were to like print out what you just said, saying we got to show Max Scherzer some love for going 2 2/3.
I know,
like,
dude. It feels
of
weird.
the mighty have fallen, dude.
I know it. Like I said, it feels weird.
I understand what you're saying.
It feels weird, but given the state of where he's at, and with his recent slate of postseason outings, to be able to not come completely unglued and only limited to 2 runs was, I think that's all Bochy was hoping for, because you have to think that just about everybody is fair game in game 7. So you didn't necessarily need any length out of him, but you needed somebody to take the ball to start the game. I did think it was interesting though, like if you're going to, which I'm sure matchups and all that played into it, but Montgomery went 2 1/3, only one less out than Scherzer did. So it's like, just going into game 7 with Monty taking the ball and still a little bit more confidence in the club versus Scherzer. I don't know. It worked out. No need to second guess. It worked out, but a lot of things that needed to go right for the Rangers went right. So credit to them for capitalizing.
Yep.
Just a wild,
freaking weird postseason.
Wild postseason. Any takeaways from that series?
Trying to imagine just like what the next chapter looks like for the Astros. It's hard to picture without Dusty there. I would assume, I feel like Joe Espada just kind of slides into that role.
Yeah, we were talking about him before fit. Dusty, right?
Yeah. I think he's thrown his hat into the ring for multiple managerial openings. I think it just slides in pretty naturally. Keep it in-house. I don't think they're really going to go through like a major rebuild. So I don't know. But series overall, there was like a brief stretch where I thought the Rangers were kind of dead in the water offensively. They looked really lame at home, really quiet at home. So I'm curious to see what this little break. When does the World Series start?
Friday. So we got
3 days.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, today's Tuesday, huh? Yeah. Even then, 2 days, it's a lot as for a hitter. So just curious to see how that plays out. Do you have a prediction? I mean, throw all the logic out the window. Clearly, that's not working. So,
All right. Can I be honest?
Please.
I saw somebody, as I do on the daily, just scrolling through comments. And I think I saw a tweet or an X, a post, whatever it is. This was ahead of the Phillies D-back series hadn't finished yet. This was after Game 7 of the ALCS, and I saw a post saying something to the effect of, if you don't think this Rangers team is going to win the whole thing, you're crazy. And I said, I can't say that, because assuming the Phillies take Game 7, I just don't know who's taking the Rangers over the Phillies at that point.
Right.
Vegas was taking Philly over Texas, and I think a majority of baseball fans probably would have done the same thing. But the Phillies flop. Now you're sending the D-backs to Arlington. Now I can safely revert to that take. If you don't think the Rangers are going to win this whole thing, you're crazy. However, I've been wrong on more than one occasion this postseason.
Me too.
So I'm not going to sit here and give you the whole Sharpie spiel again. But if I had to make as educated of a guess as I could for this upcoming World Series, I would say Rangers. And how many games, you ask? I mean, if they keep hitting the way they do, I see this going no more than 5. But I said the same thing, or I said something similar about the Phillies series. I said if the Phillies continue to mash, this isn't going very long.
Sure.
Went 7, D-backs take the series.
Right.
So clearly, to your point, they're taking their complete product on the field. They're taking all facets of the game that they are above average at, and figuring out a way to package it together to get quality wins against quality teams. So maybe this thing does go more than 5. Maybe the D-backs do pull this thing out. I can't say for certain, but for the sake of a prediction, I'm going to say Rangers in 5.
So I got a tough decision here. My boss came out a couple days ago. Actually, it was when the Phillies looked like they were going to manhandle the Diamondbacks. My boss came out and said that he would dye his hair to match Yuli Gurriel if the Diamondbacks win it all. And I need to see that, But at the same time, I don't see that happening.
I mean, you can root for it, but still make I'm
okay either way, I think.
I've got an educated prediction here.
I got a foot in both camps for that reason. Here's the thing. Diamondbacks beating the Brewers, beating
which reminds me. You keep going, sorry.
Brewers beating, and then Diamondbacks beating just a sleepwalking Dodgers, pull it off against look, this was a fumble. This was a big bag fumble. This was a flop by the Phillies. Again, a good ball club, the Diamondbacks. The Rangers have gone through a path. To beat the Rays, to beat the Orioles, to beat the Astros, they have gone through some stuff. They have proven series and series and series over again that this is their time. So, Bochy with the trophy. Give me Corey Seager with the MVP in 6 games. Please give me a freaking clincher win at home. I'm tired of seeing these clinch wins on the road. It's not fun to watch. I need to see a crowd just go crazy.
Yeah.
With the fans, with the players, one time, please.
So you're going 6 at home in Arlington.
6 at home in Arlington.
All right, so I'm going Rangers in 5. I got to give my MVP pick. I'm not going Garcia. That's too easy. And the odds of that happening aren't. I don't. How many times has somebody won back-to-back MVPs?
I don't know. I do not know. Probably never.
I'm gonna say, for these MVP, like series specific MVPs, not like season full 162 MVPs. For like the series MVPs, I like going a little bit off the wall every now and then. I know.
I wanted to go off when I said Jonah Heim, but.
Because, like, you look at the NLCS, it's like, okay, Corbin Carroll, Zach Gallen, those are probably the leaders in the clubhouse for that. Ketel Marte goes out and wins it. So It's not extremely far-fetched to say that somebody like, honestly, you know who's kind of been surprising me this series or this postseason?
Mitch Garver.
Yeah,
dude. Me too.
Like, is that like a weird? I mean, it's probably not a favorite, but
I don't understand how he's suddenly become like a feared power hitter. But
I don't know, man.
I'm here for it.
Maybe I go Mitch Garver. I mean, Corey Seager's is a solid pick, but
it's a cop out pick. No.
I mean, but like I always say, it's a smart pick. Like nobody's gonna judge you for picking Corey Seager. I'm gonna get judged for going Mitch Garver, but like I said, I like to go off the wall a little bit. Let's go Mitch Garver.
Ooh, can I change mine? I want to change mine.
All right,
Nathan Eovaldi.
Oh, okay. Ah, man, that's good.
Right?
Rarely do I think about the arms for the MVP, but
I know.
I mean, that's a.
Because if he throws game 1, is he going to throw game 1? He's got to throw game 1. Maybe, I don't know. Montgomery has been doing his thing. So if he goes, game 2 would be better because then he would line up for game 6.
I really doubt Monty would get game 1, going 2 1/3 on in game 7. Although that was Monday. Yeah, I think they'd want to have him go game.
It's probably Eovaldi.
Yeah, gotta be Nate.
I don't know, but then you get you're talking about Alec Thomas and Corbin Carroll going lefty there, getting Ketel Marte off the lefty side, pushing him over to the right side. Yeah, short rest though. Doesn't really make a ton of sense. Eovaldi?
You going Eovaldi?
No, I can't. You can have him if you want. I'm going back to Seager.
Can I make a switch?
You can have a switch.
But do I want to switch though? Because I was thinking about that earlier today. I'm like, every now and then something like that just pops in my brain without even me really having to think too hard about it. And usually I try to go with that. And Garver was the guy that came to mind.
Stick with it.
It's big game Nate, though.
I know. I mean, let's see. Game 1. And then he'll probably get game 5, right?
Yeah, I mean, you have a travel day mixed in there.
So if you're talking them finishing out in 5, I'm assuming you're going to see 2.
I mean, if he goes, I honestly don't even know how they've been using that staff this postseason in terms of rest. But I mean, if he went the 5th day, that'd be game 4.
Mm-hmm.
He goes Friday. You got game 2 Saturday, travel day Sunday, 3-4 would be the 5th day.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Mitch Garver, Corey Seager.
Yeah, I'll stick with Garver.
Okay. Good stuff. Episode 399 coming at some point in the middle of this. But 400 is going to be a recap episode. So,
yeah, I'm going to need this to go. I don't know. It's going to be weird, dude, because the travel day is on Sunday. Right? Friday, Saturday.
uh-huh.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we could, maybe we do like a Sunday night. Get it out there and drop it for Monday. Maybe we do something like that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm not trying to record on a Saturday night after game 2.
Me neither.
All right, 399 coming to you sometime early next week, hopefully. Any other takeaways? Any other thoughts? Any other predictions before we get out of here? Shout out D-backs. Shout out Rangers. It's a heck of a weird matchup, but, this is what's beautiful about baseball.
It's been a wild one. I don't know. I better not see any roll call happening in Arlington. That's my one thought.
Oh, my gosh. What's that thing they say about lions and the opinions of sheep and all that? You've been set on this roll call thing for months now.
I got nothing else.
Just let it go.
Not much of a lion anymore.
Just let it go. That's true. Yeah. So really, we're just talking about sheep, worrying about the opinions of other sheep.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's
fair.
Fine. Which is fair.
All right,
I think sheep do that.
That's fair game. You're right. I'll allow it.
They're talking noise to each other all the time. Yeah.
I'll allow it. If you want to be bothered by this roll call into December, that's fine. That's okay. Credit D-backs, credit Rangers. 2 completely different styles of baseball, but like I said, that's what's beautiful about this game. We will see how it plays out. Both teams bringing in different strengths, both teams bringing in different weaknesses. We shall see how it plays out. I think there's going to be some good pitching matchups in there. You're going to get your doses of offense from time to time. Should the trends continue from the LCS games, but in terms of like excitement on a scale of 1 to 10, it's so hard for me, not because I'm a guy without a dog in the fight here. I just don't even know what number to assign it because I feel like I blinked and were dealt the D-backs and Rangers.
This could have been so much better. I've got like a 6.5 to be honest. That number comes to mind.
I'm going to hold out hope that they find a way to give us some exciting ball.
I just want good baseball, so I hope we get that. Fair.
Who do you think brings the better of the 2 teams now that the bank is out of it? Who do you think brings the best home field advantage to this series?
I don't know.
Maybe you got to pick one.
Chase looked like he was kind of jumping.
I kind of ragged on him a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think they showed out.
People around here have already looked at tickets. Upper Deck was going for 300 before this dub, so gonna go ahead and assume that's north of 4 now. No thanks.
I just want some good baseball. I think you're right, but yeah,
I can make a D-back dog at home.
we will we'll check in with you guys a couple to a few games into this series sometime early next week. But other than that, that's all I got.
Woo! This is sad. It's almost over. Season is almost over. Oh well. Don't go chasing curveballs, guys.
We love you all, and as always, looking forward to talking more baseball with you guys soon. Until next time, stay filthy.